This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome, you are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 3 in the National Football League. Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Miami Dolphins. And this was a big game for both teams because the Dolphins started out the season with a bang, really taking it to the opposition in week number 1, and they looked really impressive. That was a huge game against the New England Patriots in week 1 at home. And so, hey, the hopes of this team and the expectations somewhat heightened after that victory. You look at the Chiefs, and you knew there was going to be a drop-off after all of the players left last year. There was a mass exodus in Kansas City. Debo starts off the season with a 1-game suspension. Things looked a little shady in Kansas City to start the season off. And so that 0-2 start, not surprising, but here's an opportunity to pounce on a team that seems to be lacking confidence in the Miami Dolphins. You need to take advantage of this opportunity. Don't know when you're going to get another one if you're the Chiefs. So here we are. Let's skip right to the second quarter. Not a lot happening early on in this game. Caleb Sturgis misses a field goal from 48 yards as neither team doing anything offensively to start this game. Off the missed field goal, of course, you miss a 48-yard field goal, you're giving up some great field position. Now Davis turns up the field and gets 21 yards as he gets into the end zone. Chiefs take a 7-0 lead. Chiefs follow that possession up with an 8-play, 76-yard touchdown drive that's capped off by a 20-yard Travis Kelce touchdown. It's now 14-0. Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're the Dolphins, you come out flat. You allow a team that, keep in mind, has 27 total points in 2 games. They scored 10 in week 1, 17 in week 2. You've already given up 14 points in the first half to a team that's averaging less than 14 points a game. So you got to be scratching your head if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, hey, what are these guys doing? And if you're the Dolphins, you got to pick it up. You're losing by 14 at home to a winless Kansas City Chiefs football team. Fins finally put some points on the board as time expires in the first half. As we go to the halftime break, 14-3. We come out of that break and enter the third quarter. Jarek Odrick forces a fumble. It's recovered by the Dolphins on the opening possession of the second half for the Kansas City Chiefs. So Dolphins defense stepping up and getting a turnover, which leads to a Brian Hartline 1-yard touchdown. It's 14-10. Just like that, what was once a 14-point lead has been trimmed to 4. If you're the Dolphins, you've got all the momentum in the world. Get a defensive stop. Maybe you can go down the field and score again and maybe even take the lead. Let's see what they do. Fins penalized for orchestrated celebration. And this is what bad football teams do right here. You score a touchdown, you cut the lead to 4, you've got all the momentum in the world, and you go and get a foolish penalty, 15 yards for an orchestrated celebration. Now, I don't know how accurate that was. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Either way, don't put the flag in the official's hand because you know they'll throw it. And so that was a costly penalty because after that, the Chiefs start at the 36-yard line. Great field position to start out a drive. And they move the football right down the field. And Joe McKnight scores on a 7-yard reception. It's now 21-10. So all the hard work that you put forth to trim the lead down to 4, it's all gone. Now the Chiefs are back up by 2 scores. They're back up by 11. Now you got an uphill battle to climb. And again, a Chiefs team that hasn't sniffed 20 points all season long has 21 on you, and we're not even in the 4th quarter yet. Shame on you, Dolphins. Shameful. So Jarvis Landry responds with a 73-yard kickoff return, and this was a tough return. And this is why a lot of people love this guy coming out of college because of his toughness, and you saw it on this return. But the Dolphins squandered that return and only are able to get a field goal out of it, which we'll talk a little bit about the Dolphins situation at the end of this breakdown, but it's now 21-13. Chiefs still ahead by 8. After a block in the back by the Kansas City Chiefs on a return, they start their drive at the 1-yard line. And the Finns, who were getting pressure on Alex Smith all game long, record their 5th sack of the game. This one in the end zone. Go ahead. Put your hands together. It's a safety. And there were a lot of safeties across the National Football League in Week 3. That's the 4th that I can remember. Seattle game had one. Denver got a safety on the Seahawks. There was a safety in the San Diego Chargers Buffalo Bills game. There was another safety in another game. It doesn't ring a bell right now, but there were quite a bit of safeties around the league in week number 4. This is the 4th safety that I can remember. So a lot of teams getting the opposition bottled up in the end zone. Oh, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers had a safety as well. So a lot of safeties in week number 3 in the National Football League. And so, hey, the Dolphins say, hey, let us get in on the party. They get their safety. Now it's 21-15. So now you cut the lead back down to 6. That's manageable. A touchdown and an extra point gives you the lead as we go into the 4th quarter. Dolphins, however, offensively just weren't in sync in this game as Joe McKnight scores his 2nd touchdown of the game as the Chiefs drain the clock and go up 2 scores. They go for a 2-point conversion to extend the lead out to 14, but they do not convert, so the score is 27-15. And just for good measure, the Chiefs score one final touchdown as Cyrus Gray gets into the end zone on the ground, makes it 34-15, which would be your final score in this game. This was a pathetic performance by the Miami Dolphins. And let's start with the Chiefs. For the Kansas City Chiefs, great win on the road. You feel good about getting your first victory of the season. Last week, you were very close against a divisional foe in the Denver Broncos, and I think that game gave you a little bit of confidence that you could go into Miami and possibly win, and that you did in a major way. I don't know what this win does for you long term, but right now it feels good to get off the schneid, get your first win of the season, and see if you can build upon that if you are the Kansas City Chiefs. Meanwhile, there's a lot going on in Miami right now. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and there is a small, very mild bonfire right now, but this thing could get out of control and could turn into a forest fire if they're not careful in Miami. There's fingers being pointed everywhere. First thing I heard was Ryan Tannehill was to blame, and they thought about benching him, which I think is asinine. Again, he's still a young quarterback, but did he play up to par? No, he did not play up to par. He could play better. And when Lamar Miller is running the football as effectively as he did in this game, over 100 yards, you need your quarterback to be able to feed off of that and make some plays. And Tannehill didn't do that in this game. But don't you for 1 second just point the blame at him as if the defense didn't have their hand in this defeat as well. I thought the defense was very porous. Outside of those 5 sacks, this defense did nothing. You gave up 34 points to one of the most stagnant offenses in the National Football League. And let me say this quickly because I haven't said it yet. My guy is back. It's the return of Captain Jeto. After those first couple of games, even week 1, he was terrible, you know. But week 2, he came back a little bit, but he was back this week. 76% completion percentage on this Dolphins defense. Da-da-da-da, got that shutdown. Was back in full effect, and this Dolphins defense let him. Joe McKnight, who it seems like just was picked up because of the injuries at the running back position, came in and torched you for 2 touchdowns. You let Niall Davis, look, a Jamal Charles-less Chiefs football team should not be rushing for 100 yards. You let Niall Davis come in and shred you. Poor tackling on his touchdown, his first one of the game that was 21 yards. Poor tackling on the Travis Kelce 20-yard touchdown up the sideline. This defense did not play well, so if you're pointing fingers, point them at the defense. You can point them at Tannehill too. He deserves some of the blame. Pointing at your coordinator, I heard they're pointing fingers at Kevin Coyle right now. Everybody deserves blame right now. Nobody's performing well in Miami. That's 2 consecutive blowout losses where you didn't show up. And so there's a lot of blame to go around, but what you need to do if you're the Dolphins is stop pointing the finger at other people and pointing at yourself, look in the mirror, and start playing better football. One guy at a time, everybody collectively as a group. This team needs to pull it together because you started off the season so strongly, and now you've already faded, and we're only in week number 3 of the National Football League. That's going to do it for the breakdown of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins. Thank you for joining me. That's going to do it for week number 3. I've got one more game to break down. That's the Monday Night Showcase. We'll do that on the Tuesday edition of In the Lab Room. So I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Come back and join me, man, as we continue to break down everything and all things NFL here in the Lab Room. See you next time.